Do we ever wait the full minute? Why are we doing the countdown?
Can't we just fast forward the countdown?
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
It's probably for the people.
All right, forget it. There we go. Hi, everybody.
Wait, all these OCD people are like, it was at 46. It was at 46.
Yeah, I started the intro,
They're
and as
still
soon as I
counting.
started the intro, which is like the cleanest
27.
fucking intro you can find, which Lachlan requested. So I hit the intro, and he's like, "Do we fucking have to do the intro? Can we just get into it?" Yes, we can. There you go. Congratulations. Welcome to the podcast.
Right.
My name is Dean. That is Lachlan Cross. That is James D. Fiore. And wow. Darren Pfeiffer is back. Ladies and gentlemen, from the rock and roll band Goldfinger. Yeah. And it was funny because like last week I got a text from him. He's like, "Am I not allowed on the show anymore? Can you not have me on the show? What's wrong? Am I not allowed to come on the show?" And I'm like, "Of course you're allowed to come on the show. You just got to get a microphone, headphones."
And then I sent him a dick pic. Then I sent Dean a dick pic, and he goes, "Well, now you're not allowed on the show."
Yeah.
And then I said, "That wasn't my dick. That was my brother's dick."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but I'm really happy to have you back on the show. We had people wondering where you went. We had people wondering what was going on. Was Darren no longer part of the number 5 ranked daily news podcast in Canada? Like,
or 100.
All I gotta say is number 5, motherfucker. Number 5.
You know what we should do?
123 overall. Is that
Hey,
where we are?
number 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Can we get an ad where we take like old King Kong Bundy footage where he asks for a 5 count? Remember?
Yeah.
He's like 5, and that's our number 5 ranked newscast in Canada.
By the way, we're number 5
because
because of me. I announced last week, the day before we went number 5.
Mm-hmm.
I said that's my OCD number. Boom. Next day,
we're number 5.
Yeah, that's got to be it. You know,
Daily news.
Case closed there, my friend.
You know what's ahead of us? The Times of Israel podcast. So I'm coming for them.
The weather's a little balmy over there, I hear.
The Wall Street Journal podcast.
Oh, come on.
No problem. Yeah. And
That's pretty funny, though.
some French thing. There's 2 French ones in front. I'm like, what the fuck is this French stuff? I want to be number 1 in the daily news category because of how fucking funny that is. Right?
I also think it would be very entertaining to break the top 100 of the overall charts. That would be awesome.
It
69. We should be all praying for 69
and just stay there.
Yeah.
Right? Like
It
if
is
we go
sort
to
of like
68.
It is sort of like how Martian won for best comedy at Golden Globes one year. Just so we could give it an award. I'm not kidding.
Was that the Affleck? Was that the Affleck movie?
Matt Damon.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Matt
That was
Damon.
the Matt Damon movie. Who, by the way, just apparently learned last week that the F word for a gay person is a slur. Is that correct?
How do you
Did I
not
read
know
that
that?
today?
I find that hard to believe. I find the story like there's something about the context that we're not aware of or something, because it doesn't feel
Something's
like
off.
it doesn't feel like he's dumb, first of all. Like it feels like, you know, I know that he's sort of been caught up in this whole new generation of woke stuff, like here and there, especially when it was like when the Harvey Weinstein shit was happening, and he was saying, shouldn't we, you know, at least explore that there is a spectrum of being wrong, like from smack in the butt to rape. They're not the same thing, and he got totally destroyed for a week.
Was he defending Harvey at that point,
No,
James? Do you remember?
no.
I don't think he was.
He
I
was
think
not defending Harvey. I was just saying it was happening during that time, during the Me Too era and all that stuff, when it was sort of in the thick of it. And I think it was just like a really bad timing thing for him, although it is still one of those things that I really hate, because there is obviously a difference between, you know, smacking a butt, which you shouldn't do unless, you know, it's your wife and all that or something, right? Unless she's
Or a buddy.
Or your buddy.
Or a
when
buddy.
you're
Yeah, your buddy, a
Yeah,
baseball
yeah.
player just hit a home run
Yeah.
or something, smack that guy. But you know, obviously there is a spectrum between smacking a bum and, you know, raping someone. And but they weren't having it at that time during that era and whatever. But I don't think this just sounds. It doesn't sound.
Let me
Let me
put
put the
the
tweet up.
reason.
Let me
I
put
don't
the
know.
tweet up.
Like,
This is
Yeah.
from some dude. You sent this to us today, and I thought it was interesting. The funniest part of Matt Damon interview is when he says that word, which I fucking hate, meant something different when he was a kid because, bro, no, it didn't. The comment, the word that my daughter calls the F slur for homosexual was commonly used when I was a kid with a different application. He told the outlet, I made a joke months ago, and I got a treatsy for my daughter. She left the table. My understanding of that is that he used the F sharp at the table, and his daughter got upset and left. And if that was only a few months ago and Matt Damon's creeping on 50, he's a fucking slow learner, right? Like
I wonder
if
he is kind of slow or maybe dumb because
No.
we saw what Team America did in that movie. Matt Damon, like, I wonder if it's
case closed then.
secretly in Hollywood.
Hey, he's dumb.
Kind of an idiot.
Nah, there's something. You know what? It was probably used in Boston differently, and so maybe he threw it out at home because he was at home, and then he relayed the story.
Though the definition of that word morphed when we were like, it was like there was like the way that people would say it. Sometimes would be like, that guy's and you knew what he was like. He was definitely talking about homosexuals, and then you're playing video games like fag, and you elbow the guy beside you as they're playing, and eventually it morphed into this thing where it was just like no, it's not good. Obviously, I'm not condoning it, but it wasn't like, you know how like there's a difference between like when a guy from the South uses the N-word with that hard ER, and then like a rapper uses it. I'm not saying it's quite like that, obviously, but there was a difference, and it wasn't. And gay, that word too, didn't mean gay anymore. It just meant something else. But it's still better that we don't say. It's better that we don't say either of those words. I'm not saying that, but it's certainly not like as hardcore as like being an abhorrent racist and sexist and person. Like these are just throwaway words eventually, where it didn't mean the literal definition anymore. But you still shouldn't say it. So I get it. I don't think you should.
Or maybe move to England where it means you're a cigarette.
Can I bum a fag? You can bum anything you like if you want to, I guess.
As long as I remember, I'm 51. That word always meant what it meant. It never
started
morphed or changed. It started that way. And it was when you called somebody a fag, that's what it meant. And at some point, I don't remember when, we stopped using the word, but it was always, there was no other intention for it, and it wasn't just a throwaway word. It was a strong word. That might be an
Alberta-centric thing, though. I'm not trying to be a dick about it, but like they are a little bit more hardcore about certain things out west than they are here.
See, I'm talking BC, though. I grew up in BC, right?
Oh, well, that just flies in the face of that theory.
When I was growing up in Buffalo, when you used that word, you called someone a fag. When we were growing up and when little kids or in your high school, you didn't say that at least for Buffalo or New York, it wasn't like, that guy's gay. It's just he's kind of a wussy. It was like there was a condensation of you're a fag because you're soft. You're a wussy. You're not really a man. You're
not a man. And isn't that in
it wasn't
itself
like, hey, fag, you suck penis, so you're a fag. It wasn't.
But isn't that in itself like enough for people? Like even just your explanation is enough for people to go, So I'm referring to these people in the extreme negative and not referring to their sexuality, not being an ally. I could probably put a clamp on that word. You know what I mean? Like I think there's a lot of people, like you're talking about guys in Alberta or people in Texas or Southerners or whatever the situation is that go, hey, listen, you shouldn't be allowed to say X and you should be allowed to say Y. According to who? If I say something that upsets any one of you individuals on this panel, I should be willing to say, you know what? If I value this relationship and I want to evolve as a human being, I need to be able to pay attention and listen and say, hey, listen, that's enough. I'm not using that word. I'm taking it out of my lexicon. I abhor that word. And I used it about 7 years ago while I was emceeing a concert. I was thinking about this because I read the Matt Damon thing, and I'm like, did I ever use that word in public? And I did. And two guys that were standing next to me were gay, and they're like, please don't use that word, not even for a joke. And I said, okay, I'm sorry. I get it. Totally understand. Because in the context of the time, that word was that word, and we were referring to people as soft. Do we want to use that as a negative connotation forever or be entitled to say, those people are less of a man than me because they happen to like dudes? I don't think so.
There's plenty of ways to insult someone without using that word.
Twat waffle.
Douchebag. I might. If I may point out, not a community known for being soft most of the time.
No, exactly.
We were just talking about that before we went on.
What did Dave Chappelle say? He's like, I can't think of anything more gangster than a dude fucking another dude in the ass. That's the most gangster shit I've ever heard of.
We were just talking about that. I was complaining about a finger from my doctor.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
Anyway,
we've all had, guys, we've all had men inside of us at one point in our lives.
Yeah, that's true. And I didn't have a problem with it because he found a polyp.
I had a problem with it because he didn't find
night.
anything, so I thought it was like a waste of time.
I remember that night, too. We had a couple drinks, and you teased me, and I found it. You went to the doctor the next day.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm like, hey, listen, we tried, but it didn't work. And so can you take it out, please, doc? And he's like, sure. I found it fucking fascinating that Matt Damon, one of the most well-respected individuals on the planet, wasn't aware that was.
I have a really good Matt Damon memory. I have a couple.
You want some Matt Damon memory music for it?
I think
yes, I would love it. I'll tell two quick stories. The first one's really quick. The first one's it's so funny. So I used to do this thing where I used to crash like the opening gala for Tip and all these like private events and shit like that by making fake business cards of the executives of the title sponsor. So like if it was Ford, I would go to their website.
Do this criminal thing.
Yeah, I did. What?
Where I took somebody else's identity and then went to
for the party.
Just
for the party.
Police.
Just for the party. I think. Anyways, so I was in Castle.
Oh, he's the studio head for I don't know some just company.
I am not ashamed of this at all. To tell you the truth, I am happy I did this. I have a lot of memories attached to this. And I saw it as like I was being the Robin Hood of exclusive events by getting in and then sharing stories. Right?
So how is the poor benefiting from this old?
I was the poor. I was the poor. It's a direct line, A to B, except both of them were me. Anyways, so I was at Casa Loma and I was watching this girl and she was really drunk and she was stumbling around this buffet. And there was a tray and it had shrimp and other things on it. And it was like the edge of it was off the table by like 4 inches. And this guy walked and I don't even look at him. He's right in my peripheral. And I'm like, I'll bet you a beer. All beers were free, but we just did this anyways. I'm like, I'll bet you a beer that shrimp platter ends up on the floor. And he's like, okay, you're on. And it was like 3 seconds later, her heel kind of collapsed underneath her. And sure enough, the platter went. And the funny part was that we both just like looked at her. We didn't go see if she was okay or anything like that because she was such a shit show. And then he got me a beer and he cheers me and I look up and it was Matt Damon. And I was just like, all right, have a good night.
Off.
Yeah,
that
and
is
I just
the
walked
best story ever.
He's got stories.
Never beat that story.
He has stories like this, like Chuck Liddell. Chuck Liddell, the Iceman, saved his life when he was super high on heroin one night. Like saved his life.
Is Angel Dust heroin?
Same.
It's close.
I didn't know I was smoking it. Someone handed me a blunt, and I was like, okay, I'm in LA for the first time ever. I'll take your blunt, Mr. Gangster, on the top of some club. Yeah, anyways. And so the next Matt Damon story, he lived in my neighborhood a few years ago in the beaches in Toronto because he was shooting a movie. And I used to walk my son along the boardwalk in the beaches, and I saw him. He was like working out with his trainer, and he stopped to say hi to my son.
Hang on. You said you used to take your kid for a walk. Are you saying he was on a leash or like?
No, in a stroller. Okay.
I was thinking that, Dean.
You took your child out and you went for a walk with your son. That's
to be fair, James. That's a reasonable question for you.
Well, yeah, the only human beings I ever had on a leash in my life were all girlfriends. So
okay. After I gave my son some kibble, I took him out for a walk, and we met Matt Damon.
He ate really good, actually. Anyways, long story short, Matt Damon's trainer got in between us and was like, "Mr. Damon doesn't have time to talk to anybody today." And Matt Damon was like, "Actually, I do." Because I ran into him the other day and he told people not to bug me, which is what happened a couple days before. But people were like, why won't you give me your autograph? And I didn't look over and I was like, family time. And they walked away. So he just wanted to say thanks because I saw him almost every day because he was right beside my house all the time. And
he's a nice man. He just doesn't understand that the F shot is a terrible word to use.
There's more to that story.
Yeah.
Again,
I think I don't know. His trainer, I think, was gay. So
I like Matt Damon. I'm a fan.
I do too. I'm not saying I don't like Matt Damon. I just find it incredible that he had no idea. Darren, the United States got a couple stories about you in the United States today. Number one, story about your U.S. women's soccer team losing to Canada 1-0 yesterday.
Have they ever lost? Have they
Not
ever
in 20
lost
years.
to Canada?
Not in 20 years. No.
Do the look, Dean. Dean, don't forget the look. Canada.
Yeah, Megan Rapinoe.
Woo!
Can't believe we
If
lost.
you're going to lose to anybody,
Yeah.
I'm happy they lost to Canada and not Russia or China or Ukraine or some other fucked up country. Like,
a loss is a loss, right? Like, that's
Megan
a
from
loss
the
is a
U.S.
loss, but I mean,
doesn't
I
agree.
had such love for Canada.
Yeah.
If you're going to lose, you're going to lose to your brother. You might
Yeah.
lose to your friends. You know?
Yeah. Well, not our friends, apparently. Megan Rapinoe, yesterday, captain of Team Canada, outspoken advocate for equal woman and equal pay and a credit-based society. Megan Rapinoe, the one with the fucked up hair. She's married to Sue Bird. And after the game yesterday, I want you to listen now. This is 2 minutes and 20 seconds. I put this out this morning as soon as I woke up because Canada won like a half hour after I woke up. I was like, oh, fuck, Canada won. That's incredible. So the first thing I see is this video of Megan Rapinoe after the game talking about the match. It's 2:20. Hang in there because it's 2 minutes and 20 seconds of the most fucking base, selfish, categorized U.S. selfishness. Sorry, Darren, I know you're not one of these people. But listen to the absolute shithole she actually delivers in talking about nothing but it was their own fault and Canada did nothing to deserve it. It's fucking... No, that's nice, eh? 2 minutes and 20 seconds of like...
The thing is, though,
we
Dean,
beat ourselves. They're not good. Can't believe we lost to that team. Never lost to that
I think
team.
you're reading a little bit too much into it. I don't think that what she said was really that wrong, Dean, quite frankly.
I'm not. No, it is.
Because she just said we never liked losing to Canada. There was nothing wrong with that.
Which they don't.
There's a geographical rivalry there. So you don't like losing to your geographical
because
rivalry.
they don't respect
She
us.
didn't say, I don't like losing to Canada, those fucking bitches.
Yeah, she did.
Motherfuckers. She said, I don't like losing to Canada.
That's what I heard.
You don't, especially not Canada. You haven't lost to Canada in 2 decades. How would you know what it's like to lose to Canada? She doesn't know how. And that's why she's motivated to say that, because why would they ever lose to Canada? Canada is not a good
I
team.
don't know, man. I mean, that's a sports wiring, though. You don't go into a game thinking you're going to lose ever. And if you're an athlete like that, your number one goal, it doesn't matter. You're going in there to destroy them. And if you lose to Canada, who you haven't lost to in 20 years, she might have been being polite.
Their number one goal should have been to score a goal. But go on.
There is arrogance in sports as a whole. Times it by 10 when you're dealing with American athletes. And I think that's why. I think that's why they're so successful every year.
Do you know what? I don't even think it's that different from the Simone Biles stuff. Like, I was thinking about it today because all I hear there is, fuck, these guys have never lost, right? Like, this group, they've won World Cups. They're the best women's team in the world. They were number one yesterday.
They destroy people.
Oh, they do. And so all of a sudden, Canada puts on this amazing performance. Christine Sinclair, because I was watching highlights and we can't play them because they're Olympic stuff. And I just saw that our Facebook account got suspended again because we put up like an Olympic video or some fucking weird thing. It doesn't matter. But my point is that Christine Sinclair was terrific yesterday. Jamie Fleming, I believe is her name, or Jesse. I think it's Jamie Fleming. She scored like in the 75th minute on a PK. And they played lockdown defense. It wasn't a lot of fun to watch, but at the same time, give credit where credit's due. Like, you lost 1-0 to a team and you said you couldn't unlock it. Like, and you're talking about this game that was that important to you. Does that mean that you're just not as good? Because that's what it means to me.
But I don't think
to a better team.
I don't think she was insulting Canada.
I
agree with
everything. Of course she did.
Except, well, she said we don't like losing to Canada. That's
how would she know? But how would she know?
What she meant in my mind is she doesn't like losing to her geographical rivals because it's so close, and you want to beat your neighbor. You want to beat your.
We say the same thing when it comes to hockey.
Yeah, but hockey is more balanced. The actual competition between the United States and Canada is a rivalry because both teams win here and there, right? Yeah. This isn't a rivalry. It's not a rivalry when one team wins for 20 years. It's a shellacking. It's a dominance.
It's a geographical rivalry.
Yeah, and I get that too.
Sure.
Like, I tried to think into this thing because I'm like, I don't want to shit all over. It's unpopular to shit on women's sports. It just is, right? So I take that into account when I'm talking about this. But that woman, Megan Rapinoe, has done incredible things for women's sports, equal pay, and that's been credit based, right? Like she says, give us credit for us being as good as we are, and pay us what we are due. What Canada was due after that game was someone to say, we lost to a better team today. No, fuck. Yeah. Dude, Robin Lehner did it. As soon as the Vegas got pumped from the playoffs, the very first tweet that was sent by Robin Lehner, who lost in Game 7, if I'm not mistaken, to the Habs, Robin Lehner's like, I wish that team the best of luck. They played really well, and they deserve it. Go get the Stanley Cup. Hopefully it comes out of our division. Would it have been that fucking hard for her to say? Like, Canada has lost to the U.S. for 20 straight fucking years. Like, for her to be able to say, I'm a good sport. I'm going to be credit-based in my assessment of what just happened out there, and I'm going to give that team credit. It's like it doesn't exist in American sports.
In a perfect world, she should have said that. You're right. But because she didn't, I don't think she should be vilified.
It's fun to vilify her, though.
I'm kind of with Darren. I mean, I now I get where you're going. Based on her history, maybe she should have shown a little bit more class with respect to the loss and to how well Canada played. But she, in the moment, she was brutally honest, and she didn't think that Canada deserved to win that game, and that was fairly obvious in that 2-minute clip. So, and if that's the case, where she's claiming that the loss was more to do with them not coming together than what Canada did, I would be using that as, here's the thing. Canada plays that interview and goes, hey, look, even the fucking team we lost to doesn't think we deserve to be here. Who wants to fucking go beat Sweden? You use that as ammo, right?
Yeah.
And some of there are countless situations in the past where teams have gotten to where they are based on stuff like this. So if
Team Canada's coach should walk into the dressing room before the game with Sweden, I think it's Thursday, and walk in real quietly and say, look around the room, and if you lose to Sweden in this game, it will haunt you for the rest of your fucking lives. And then walk out, turn around and go, the rest of your fucking lives.
And then take a hockey stick and beat the shit out of a garbage can. I used to have a coach who used to do that. He'd come in between periods. He wouldn't say a fucking word. He'd just grab some kid's stick and then just start beating the garbage can. And the stick would break, and then he'd walk out. And then we'd all look at each other and go, is that our motivation? Awesome. Let's go.
That's great.
I had a coach. It was Randy Fox, hockey coach. I'm in the 7th grade, and he comes in between periods, and he asks us what's wrong with us. I said, I thought I played pretty well because I had a goal and a couple of helpers. And he walked over and smashed me with his stick, my stick, across my helmet. And now I'm ready to play the second.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I'm totally ready to fucking go.
I wanted to get 5 points in the first period, but I only got 3. I'm such an asshole. Sorry.
I remember we had a coach one year. I don't remember how old I was, but I don't think I was more than 9 or 10. And we literally got to the rink. We put our gear on. And before we even left the dressing room, he goes, all right, before we step on the ice, I'm going to teach you little fuckers how to fight. And we literally spent 30 minutes
beating
in the dressing room with our skates and gear on, with a coach who was clearly hopped up on something, teaching kids to fight, 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
And I have such fond memories of group sports as a child.
It's so funny. Your story says young blood, but the music says Flashdance.
It does. Get some Flashdance music for you. I don't know. It's not, and you know, the funny part is like when I wrote a post about it today because I drink those tears. Like, she's bawling her eyes out. I drink those tears as a Canadian fan, as someone that lives in this country, that's someone who knows the story of Canadian women's soccer being the only team thing where you're actually really good at the Olympics, and the story about women bringing home every medal except Andre de Grasse's bronze. It's like, and so when I heard that, I had to like calm myself down because I'm like, Those fucking girls went out there and gave it everything they had and did. So like Christine Sinclair's been at this for almost 20 years and she keeps coming home empty-handed. And not Megan Rapinoe, who says that she fights for equality, wasn't equal in that moment, right? Like if she's a real sportswoman, she would have said, Christine Sinclair has been the most consistent woman on the international side of women's soccer for 20 years. I cannot wait to see her play in a final today. Can't wait.
Yeah.
How fucking hard is that?
I feel like her teammates are probably equally as upset after hearing that, because she did kind of made it look like, we came and we didn't try. Obviously we didn't try. We got beat by Canada.
Yeah.
Woo. And it's like,
I don't know.
So I feel like her teammates I feel like her teammates could have like a legit beef with the way their team is being portrayed.
It's not okay for Megan Rapinoe to be upset and, in her words, very bitter about the loss, right freshly after the loss, like minutes. But it's okay. It's okay for Phil Esposito to cry into the cameras in '72 after getting his ass handed to him by Russia. That's okay to cry.
Yes, because it's a real sport.
Did he say, I can't believe we got beat by this crappy Russian team? Or imply that?
Locke, what did you just say? Sorry. Go ahead and say that again.
Of course it is, because hockey's a real sport. Soccer isn't.
That's also a good point.
It's worth watching. I love that. Evander Kane might have bet on his own hockey games, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, boy.
I hate
this guy is such a dick.
He is a shit show.
He
is a gigantic shit show. I mean, if the NHL is doing an investigation, he did file for Chapter 11. He says he's $27 million in the hole from 20-something million in the hole from gambling debts.
42.
But he made 56 million in his career apparently. Boy, that is a pretty bad gambling problem. You might want to get some help.
So on the weekend, his wife, soon to be ex-wife, former stripper, her name's Anna Kane. They just had a chat. I don't know. It's a hockey player.
You're not making any of this up, are you?
I'm just generalizing. That's all.
She's a former dancer.
And an evening entertainer.
And now with the news of the day.
You're listening to the number 5 daily news podcast in this fucking country. I want you to know that.
Yeah,
tell me about all this evidence.
Okay, so she puts this on Instagram, a private exchange with her and Kaner, as they call him. Good morning, he says. As we've discussed recently, I'll be coming to see Kensington, daughter. August 8th and 9th is agreed. There will be no change in that plan. Also, please ask you to leave the house key to the Richland property when you move to that next day or two under the mat at the front door, as the realtor who's selling the property needs access to show it. Also, please leave the keys to my green G-Wagon in the house and have the car parked in the garage when you leave. Thanks for your cooperation in advance, Evander Kane. He just told his wife, who's 6 months pregnant with his child, fucking leave the G-Wagon out. Park everything in the garage. The house is being sold. Get the fuck out. There's salvo number 1. So then she puts this up in response. So you leave July 8th. You do not call, text for 7 days. I love when people play out their marital bliss on Instagram. It's the best.
This is all on Instagram?
This is all on Instagram, dude. This is like fucking playing out for the world.
Everything's Black Mirror now. Everything. This is a Black Mirror episode. Go.
Then you inform me you're going to Europe for a vacation. Must be nice, but at the same time tell me our house is being taken by the bank, in reference to that email. But do not come home to help your pregnant wife pack or help her with anything at all. You have enough money to party and stay in hotels in Europe, go to dinners every night, but I can't buy my daughter formula, and you force me to sell my wedding ring to have any money to survive as you party every day and every night, never calling your daughter and never asking even one time how I'm doing myself. I don't know if there are even words to describe the kind of evil person that you are, to abandon your wife who is pregnant with your son and your 1-year-old daughter, who walked around the house with her bunnies saying dada for a week looking for you. Don't post old pictures like you're home, like you like her, or like you're with her. Everyone knows the kind of person you are. Hey-oh.
Okay, can we get the uncomfortable part out of the way first, which is that we don't know if any of that is true.
This is true.
I'm not saying Evander. I don't know him personally. Obviously, he sounds like he has some troubles. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But I look at that and I'm completely agnostic. I don't know if she's lying through her teeth, if she's telling the truth. I don't know how anyone can. So I can't then leap off of the shoulders of this story onto a place where I just all of a sudden randomly start insulting Kane just because this girl said something. So I hate stories like this.
I can.
Everyone,
I have no problem doing it.
I know you don't give a
I've
shit.
seen pictures of him before. He's a cock. He's a raging cock, and all of this is wildly believable to me for some strange reason. And I think everything he gets, all the pain and suffering he's going to get because of all this shit, he deserves it, in my very humble opinion.
Well, we're not done with the review.
Him with that stack of money in Vegas
on the phone with a stack of money.
I'm going to go somewhere in the middle. Based on what you just said, Locke, about the photograph in Vegas with the cash, and him being knocked around from one team to the next, and his bankruptcy proceedings, which are very public. It seems like there is a shred of truth, maybe possibly in this situation. He does have a lot of problems, absolutely. But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because I don't know what he said, she said. When two people fight marital bliss, especially on social media, you got to take it. You got to take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. But if I had to say, my meter would be more towards him being a douche than being a really cool guy. So it's probably like if that's like not a douche, not a cool guy, he's leaning more towards douchey.
Mm-hmm.
But you're hard over because you don't give a fuck, August.
No, and we're going to get to that. Let me just give you some receipts.
I'm like right about here. James is over here. I'm not sure. James is right here.
Yeah.
I'm more like
fully erect. James is always fully erect, by the way.
That's right. That is right. I'm erect right now.
That face.
Let me just read you a couple of items. Evander Kane's bankruptcy filing last year included $1.5 million gambling debt loss last year. He has 7 dependents. He's got 6 active suits against him, 5 from banks, 1 from another casino. They're seeking $8.3 million in monthly income. Of his $91,131 is gone. He also owns $1.2 million to Sure Sports and a counterclaim against a woman who accused him of battery in 2016. He owes her $1.88 million. Now, I looked at his liabilities and his assets. He has negative $10.2 million in the bank. I don't know how you live like that, but he spent $53 million over the last little bit, and his Instagram account is full of pictures of Ferraris and Bentleys and private jets and all the shit that he fucking loves, while his wife is seemingly trying to find fucking baby formula for their child. And again, to what James is saying, don't know if it's true, but this is the tweet that set off the NHL. How does she put this out, Anna Kane? How does the NHL let a compulsive gambling addict still play when he's obviously throwing games with bookies to win money? Maybe someone needs to address this.
Wow.
So within about, I would say, 20 minutes of that tweet, the NHL put out a tweet saying, hey, we're aware of some accusations made against Evander Kane, and we are following up that right now. So we're going to get to the bottom of it. Stay tuned.
That's a little too easy, don't you think? Just a little bit.
Well, there's two things, right? Like either he is or he isn't. Either he's a fucking gambling addict and he's betting on his own games, or he isn't. And the NHL is going to find that out. Here's what I find interesting is that the Blackhawks covered up sexual abuse for 10 years and the NHL didn't put out a tweet. But the second a black guy gets accused of doing something in the league, they go ahead and hammer out a tweet saying, we're looking into that guy.
No, you know what it is? It's the gambling thing, no, Dean.
Yeah.
Obviously,
gambling thing.
But that's what I mean when I say it was too easy. Like all she had to do was say something about someone and in a certain way, and immediately, without any evidence except for her Instagram post, they basically started an investigation. That's all I'm saying. It's a little too easy. Like, doesn't she have an access to an attorney that can do this the right way? Like, it just feels. Look, he could be guilty of exactly what she said, but it just kind of feels like there's nobody that would ever advise her to do that publicly, like without hard evidence. At least if she doesn't have evidence, or even worse, if it's proved that she's lying about this, he should not have to owe her any money at all.
Here's my thing. I completely fucking believe her. Again,
brave.
Lock's meter's over, way over.
The brave position, Lachlan.
Yeah. Well, where
Catherine's
there's
like,
where
"Fuck that
there's where there's legitimate bank statements, there's probably fire, right? This is what Patrick Kane put up. Unfortunately, I'd like to address the completely false accusations that my estranged wife and soon-to-be ex-wife has made against me, even against the advice of my legal team. I feel strongly that the public and fans hear this directly from me. I've never gambled/bet on hockey, never gambled/bet on a Sharks game, never gambled/bet on any of my games, and never thrown a hockey game. The facts are I personally had the best season of my career last year, and I was the most consistent I've been throughout my season. I'm proud of that. Love the game of hockey. Look forward to cooperating with the league's investigation, blah, 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 blah. And then he's on to the whole thing about how many times he's been trying to FaceTime his daughter and all kinds of shit. But to Lachlan's point, with no evidence other than what we've seen these two play out on social media, I totally believe her. Like 100%. You can, but I'm not going to spend time beating him up. That's the thing. Sorry, go ahead, Darren.
She does come from a perfect.
You guys both believe her because ex-strippers are really credible.
That's what I was about to say.
Absolutely,
word for word.
Mm-hmm. I have known some very credible strippers in my day.
I've known a lot of coke dealers that were strippers.
Yeah. All the people who do my taxes are ex-strippers.
I knew a lot of prostitutes that were strippers too.
I don't know. Let's let the investigation pan out. But
gambling addict, like it's up to you, it's up to me, it's up to each individual one of us. I personally believe that if he's $49 million in 6 years and he's got banks and casinos coming after him right now publicly, and his wife is saying, hey, by the way, banks and casinos are coming after us right now, and I just lost the house. I'm going to believe that. That's not that big of a fucking jump for this guy. That's a little whoop, hop stuff.
I don't care if she was a stripper.
Me neither. In fact, that actually gives her more credence in my opinion. Yeah. Like, she's willing to take her clothes off for money. She's also willing to do anything she can to survive. So she puts this in the public sphere. The NHL starts an investigation. And here's the thing. Maybe this is just like one of those outcries to get her husband help, right? Maybe like she's tried everything else.
I don't know if she cares.
She put up a picture. She put up a picture. She put up a picture of the book. You know those books, those For Dummies books? Like Windows for Dummies, How to Change Your Oil for Dummies. His teammates last year in San Jose gave him an inscribed Gambling for Dummies book.
Yeah. Awesome. This guy's a dick.
How to save your millions of dollars in a bank account for dummies.
Are we like? I'm just curious. Are we all like? Do we all have the progressive position on addiction? And is gambling one of those things, like alcoholism and drugs?
Fuck off, James. This guy's
just asking. It's an addiction. It's an addiction. Absolutely.
Okay.
It is. But you know what? When you take the scope of any sport like the National Hockey League,
I don't care.
You take the 750
He's a dick. He deserves all of this.
Athletes that are playing in any sport. In this case, let's say the National Hockey League. Yeah. You're going to have one guy that's a complete loose nut screwball like Evander Kane seems to be financially. There's going to be one guy. I'm sure the NFL has a couple. I'm sure NBA has a couple. I'm sure
NBA has a lot.
Yeah.
So you're going to have the one bad egg that's like everyone goes, look at that guy. Why can't he figure life out? He's made $56 million. How come he's in debt with these banks and these casinos, and he's got some personal problems with his wife and his kids? Oh my God! He's a fucking. It seems allegedly he's a train wreck.
Yeah, and he's fucking immature. Like all that is grow up, right? That's all it is. Well, you got a wife, you got a couple of kids. Grow the fuck up.
I don't feel sorry for him at all.
Dude. Like he doesn't put pictures of his, like very rarely does he put pictures of his kids up on Instagram. I was going through his Instagram account yesterday. You know what it was like? It was like going through a child's social media account. It really was. It was picture after picture of him with a shirt half on walking to a $400,000 car, a suit on walking to a $1 million car, and dumb fucking comments like getting it today. Getting it. Look at me getting it today. I can whether or not this pans out publicly, I completely believe the woman. And where are we at with progressive ideas on addiction? As someone who absolutely proudly talks about his own addiction and what it took to get on top of it, He needs help. He's got to fucking grow up. But it doesn't make the story any less fun. Oh, there you go. He's getting it with a suitcase there.
I'm just saying I see a couple parallels between the mocking of this guy for his gambling and the mocking of Rob Ford for his crack. Like I feel like it's in the same universe for me because it wasn't Evander Kane accused of things.
Fair,
wasn't Evander Kane accused of things that were like Me Too-ish as well? So he's like he's not considered to be a person that the left really likes. So they don't mind mocking his gambling addiction. Listen,
I don't care. To do with
by the way, I don't actually think that people
are right, and
I don't actually think that people are powerless to their addictions. To be perfectly honest with you, I think I'm one of those people that think that it's like you only blame yourself. Like you don't blame the inanimate object, you blame yourself. So I don't even agree with that prescription when it comes to like labeling addiction like this. But a lot of people that don't seem to mind to mock certain people. That's all I'm saying.
I saw something the other day. We have this event in town. It's kind of cool, and I know other cities do it. We call it the Taste of Edmonton. So they have like a whole bunch of food trucks in a sort of a downtown part, and you buy tickets, and then
What's it called?
The Taste of Edmonton is called.
It sounds disgusting.
Wow, it sounds really inviting.
It is actually. It's awesome.
What does Edmonton taste like again?
It tastes like old boots.
Lots of skid marks. Lots of skid marks in Edmonton.
It's really popular. Like
the smell of Edmonton's different than the taste of Edmonton.
The Taste of Edmonton, sponsored by
That'd be a great logo. The Edmonton skid marks. That would have been a good CFL name. The Elks.
Sorry, Locke. Go ahead and continue on your beautiful city.
So anyway, we always make a point of going down, right? And you get your pierogies and you get but it's right in the balls of the city. So you have to park and then walk because it's always busy. And you're walking through some pretty sketch areas. And to James's point about addiction, and I sort of go back and forth constantly about my level of not caring, but I want to be the person that has some sort of concrete idea on how to help these people. We walk by this woman and she is clearly strung out, and there is, she's not wearing any shoes, and there is somebody there, and it's a crisis worker, and she's bent down on the pavement talking to this woman. What can I do for you? I've given her a bottle of water. And I'm just like, I wish I had more of that in me. Right? Like
you don't care this month though, dude. Like that goes against everything.
We can get to that. But I honestly wish I had more of that. I don't know what to do for that woman. Is it her fault she's there? Like, is she a product of like, who knows what her story is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
this is how I'm used to seeing Darren, by the way. I just wanted to point out.
Not just disappearing.
I love it when he disappears.
I do too. Sometimes he just appears on the podcast too. That's the incredible part. Maybe he had to drop a dookie. I don't know. I get what you're saying, but it doesn't fit in with what you're doing, Locke. And
okay, well then. So maybe I do need to like jump more onto the I don't give a shit. And that's where I'm at with Evander Kane. I don't give two flying shits about what happens to that man. And I believe his wife, and I think he's a piece of shit.
Don't you think, though, to find the true meaning of the spiritual I don't give a shit, you need to not care if he's innocent or guilty and not care if she's credible or not? To really find the essence of not giving a shit?
It's a great point.
That is, and I'll explore that over the month of August, James. Thank you.
You're welcome. Someone's at my door, so this should be fun.
I'll go answer it. Darren just gets up in the middle of the podcast and takes off anyway. It doesn't even matter.
They want money for the Beaver Tail Festival.
My gardener was here. I had to clean up all the dog shit off my lawn.
Oh, did you? Good for you. Thanks for doing that right in the middle of the show. That's the best.
Yeah. Oh, my hands either.
Oh, that's good. So back to what we were talking about with Lachlan. He started this thing on yesterday. Was yesterday your first day? August 1st?
Yes. Yeah.
It's called I Don't Give a Shit August.
Yeah.
Now, your statement as to why you don't give a shit intrigued me, but take us through this. Explain why you're doing this, because it's legitimate. Like you are trying to not care. Yeah. because you want to live a happier life, which, by the way, is admirable, and the way you're going about it is totally wrong. But at the same time, tell me about I don't give a shit August.
Okay, well, some things have happened to me in the last couple of days. Last week, I would say. I have been trying to do some work around the house, and we keep getting ridiculous quotes. I'm pretty sure that most of the work that I've had done, I've been ripped off. The other thing is, my hard drive cooked on me. I got 15, 20 years of shit on my hard drive. I got a friend of mine who's a tech guy trying to get that off of there. And I would say at least once a week, shit happens to me at work where I wish I was wired differently. And I think people have this sort of persona of me, like the public persona of me here in Edmonton and the show. People have a sense of who I am. And I don't know if that matches up to what I am exactly. Like, I am pretty high strung. I am wound up very, very tight. And I work my bag off. And then the other thing that happens to me behind the scenes quite often is if this is something that I'll tell you a quick story about that sums up radio people and radio personalities as a whole. Engineers hate radio people, and they're the ones that fix everything because engineers are smart, radio people are dumb, and I would say 90% of the time we go to an engineer to get something fixed in the building, it's a user error. It's something we did to fuck it up. So they're constantly fixing problems from stupid people. So I completely understand the hatred for engineers towards jocks. So that has created this environment in our industry where jocks who generally get into radio because they don't have to work, at least that's the perception everybody has.
Oh, it's 100% right.
It's 100% right. Generally, they will not report something wrong if they can somehow work around it, or if there's somebody else in the building that reports things that go wrong. And I have used the expression countless times that if jocks won't complain about something wrong or broken unless there's a fire, and sometimes not even then. I walked into the control room to take over from a jock when I was working at the Bear, and when I walked in, I could smell burning. And I said to the guy, I said, "Hey, do you smell that?" And he went, "Yeah, it smells a little like something's burning." And I said, "Did you say anything to anybody?" And he went, "No," on a heel, turned around and left. As it turned out, there was a small fire underneath of the board that had been burning for a couple of hours. Jocks won't report anything unless they actually see fucking flames. So in my building, everyone just waits for Lachlan to report problems that go wrong. And then when I report them, I get the, "What'd you do?" And then I get, "Yeah, but no one else is complaining." So then what it is it's not a problem, it's Lachlan. And I look around at all these fucking assholes I work with and have worked with over the years and go, with envy, how do I get to that point where I actually don't give two flying fucks and I never, ever complain about anything? And I've been thinking about that a great deal over the last week or so. So that is the impetus behind I don't give a shit August. I'm going to try it. I swear to God, I hope there is a fire in the control room this month.
Just put a label on it that says Catholic Church and someone will set it on fire.
I am going to sit there and I'm going to watch the motherfucker burn.
Locke, you should change your outgoing voice message on your work phone and on your cell phone and on your email to just one word. Nope.
Nope. No.
Hey, look, I wanna. Nope.
Oh,
Hey,
the
look,
best.
Nope.
The
So hold
best
it.
part
Let
of
me-
the
let me-
I don't give a shit August is
Yeah.
I already have a sponsor, and this is going to make them so mad. I got a cannabis shop that approached me on the weekend, actually yesterday, and said, we want to sponsor your I don't give a shit August lock. So now I have a client that wants to tie into this.
You're onto something.
Let's
This should
break
be
this
annual.
down,
though.
It should be every,
That client's
every
not.
year.
That client's not doing a lot for the stereotype that weed heads can't accomplish anything, though.
This is
Are
true. But let's break this down. So your goal is to protect your emotional self from overreacting to other things that people do that have no context or perspective in your life, correct?
Kind
Yeah.
of, yeah. I mean,
That's right.
if
I'm right.
if I start to get judged severely for my movement, I'm
Mhm.
gonna pull the mental health card,
Okay.
which
Yeah.
I don't need to.
Free
But I'm
meditative
thinking,
I'm trying to
stating
figure
that.
this out. So did they?
Yeah.
Is this something that you feel like? Because there's two things, and I think we need to break that down. A couple of things at play here. You trying to protect yourself emotionally so you don't turn into a fucking snap show, have a heart attack at 52. I get that part of it, but then the I don't give a shit portion. Does
Yeah.
that mean you don't give a shit about anything or anybody and what they say? Or does it mean you don't give a shit about yourself in each situation? Like, what don't you give a shit about? And why are you trying to not give a shit? Is it protectionism?
I'm going to explore
Or is it
all
all
the
work-based?
options
Is
of
it all
not
just
giving a
work?
shit.
Is it
What's
work?
that?
Is it all-
Is it life?
A
Is it
lot
kids?
of this is work related. It really is, because and again, I can get into a specific story, but I mean,
But there's a fine line between not giving a shit and serenity now, right?
yes, I understand that, and I see again, if it impacts my ability to do my job, I will go out of my way to try to fix it. And then just over the years, I've just dealt with the, well, what'd you do, Locke? You know what I mean? I've just dealt with it and gone, you know what? This is a problem. Can you please fix it? And I understand all the politics behind, like, I'm smart enough to realize why I get pushback on certain things. I understand that not everybody cares as much as I do. I've had to balance that,
Yeah.
right, over the years, where a lot of people just show up every day and hope
Yeah,
that
but
no one bugs them. Like, I mean, there's different
Does
levels of
manifest-
commitment to work.
There is, but it's manifesting itself in very unhealthy ways for you, like what you had for dinner last night. Let me just put this on the screen. This is Lachlan at home alone, not giving a shit about work or at what he eats for dinner.
Yeah.
Why do you put this up today?
It's the I don't give a shit August. Tonight, I find myself alone for dinner. I'm going to have one of these three. I'm thinking I'm going to eat that one. And I'm also probably going to eat an entire kubasa. Yeah.
Are you going to swallow the kielbasa whole? Is that
To
what
be
you're-
fair, I did eat the whole thing. To be fair,
What you missed there, hang on. What the listener missed, if you're watching, listener, what you missed is, if you're not watching, if you're just listening on iTunes, which is where you can get us, wherever you get your fine podcast, YouTube as well. We stream every day, Twitch. You can interact with us with the chat as well. But if you are not seeing this, he's got 3 boxes of Cheetos mac and cheese, 3 different flavors, and
Yeah,
what appears to
displayed
be
very well.
a good 2 solid pounds of kielbasa.
At least 24 inches, too.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
I
a
think if
coiler.
you're not going to give a shit,
It's a coiler.
you
And
gotta go
you
all
didn't
in,
give a
Locke.
exactly. That's what he did. You didn't give a shit about. This is what I'm trying to ascertain. Not giving a shit about your own health at 51, probably not the greatest idea. Like, I don't know what your bowel movement was like this morning or how you felt when you got out of bed.
awesome, actually.
Wasn't that par for the course for Lachlan, though? Lachlan, how often do you eat Arby's? It's not like you were a health nut before you stopped giving
No,
a shit.
that's.
You know?
I wanted to clarify that, James.
Yeah.
I probably would have done that in any other month of the year, because
No,
somebody
so?
had mentioned to me that they liked the Cheetos mac and cheese, so I asked for it. The wife brought some home, and then they went out for dinner last night without me, and so I was by myself.
imagine why.
And then she bought a thing of kubasa.
Yeah.
And I think it was for company we have coming over on the weekend, and I ate the whole thing.
The cheddar cheese kielbasa platter. Yeah,
Let
you
me,
ruined it.
can I interject for a moment?
Triscuits.
I think this is absolutely brilliant. I think you're onto something, Locke, and you already got a sponsor. You already got one. Why not stop? Why stop there? Go for 2 and 3. Keep going.
Yeah, that's right.
Brought to you by Plant Life.
This is something you should use annually. And what I mean by that is in golf, you get a mulligan, or you're supposed to get a mulligan every 9 holes. So every 12 months of the year, you should take a mulligan and not give a shit. It could be in January. It could be in August. It could be in December. But keep it in your back pocket for whenever you need it.
Darren, I agree with you, actually. And based on all of the requests for T-shirts and merch as well, next year I'll be even more prepared for this. Yeah. I think, honestly, I'm doing this because I need a break from my own anger. And I actually, all things, like, I'm not even kidding when I say this. I actually do envy. I got a guy in the room, Grant, my co-host. He doesn't say shit about anything. He will work on a computer that literally is not functioning for months before he says anything. And then he'll go out of his way to try to talk me into going to engine. Like, he just doesn't give a shit.
It sounds but dude, it sounds to me
healthy.
like
that's way healthier than what I deal with.
I don't think it is.
Yeah, you know what? You're balancing things out though. Like you're lowering your stress level for the month of August, and you're raising your cholesterol level.
Yeah.
With the Cheeto mac and cheese, but I think in the end it's going to even itself out. It's going to somehow come together in September, and you're going to be the healthiest guy amongst us 4.
This is a work in progress, and I want to see what kind of I hope a number of situations, and they happen daily anyway, so I don't think I don't have to go out of my way to find them. I hope a number of situations that I would normally flip out in present themselves to me so that I can test this ability, and because I have this motivation to do this month, hopefully that'll give me the tools, or at least prepare me for not giving a shit when these things come up. Like I said,
does your family know about it, dude? Does your family know, like your lovely wife who you love, your 2 beautiful children who are adults who you love, like, do they know that you're not giving a shit at home too? Like when she came home and the company kielbasa was gone, did she give you shit for it? Are you going to clean up after your kids? Like what happens if someone shits in the dog kennel? That is the dog, by the way, not just a human. Like I don't expect you to shit in the dog kennel. And like, because if you get to that point, then we got problems. Like my point is this, I think you need to put your family on notice by leaving a dookie in the toilet. I think you need to put your family on notice.
It's funny you bring that up.
Number 5.
Because my wife...
We're probably number 6 now.
My wife said to me this morning when she realized that I ate the kubasa that she bought for the weekend because we may have guests. She said to me, listen, I appreciate what you're doing, Lachlan, but I thought that this I don't give a shit August was going to be more about your anger problems and less about you eating like an asshole. So... she's aware of it. And like I said,
eating like an asshole.
I'm explaining. I'm just exploring all my options.
So are you going to do this for the whole month? Like the whole month, you're not going to give a shit? Like,
and I'm going to journal it.
Okay, good. At DeanBlundell.com. You have to, because James and I were talking about this just in a DM. I think we all were last night trying to give you ideas. Like, if you're going to make a statement, make a fucking statement. I think it's totally unhealthy and ridiculous. And if you wanted to actually do something good for yourself, you'd get into philosophy, you'd get into some therapy, you'd get into, trying to figure out why you're in a position where when someone doesn't do something you want, you get fucking crazy angry, right? Or someone you think someone's taking advantage of.
Too much work.
It is a lot of work, yeah, but it's sustainable. But I'm going with this because if you're going to spend the month not flushing your toilet at home, I want to see the fallout because I'm just in it for the fucking content. That's the truth.
But also, if you're exploring all your options, Lachlan, okay, your options would include: is this okay? And hear me out because I know what you're going to say. I think, but is this like a prelude to maybe an eventual understanding that you might have a little bit of a drinking issue?
Oh, listen, I already know. Why is that so hard for you to understand? I'm well aware of the fact that I have a drinking issue. By the way, that's also part of it. So normally I'll give you an idea of consumption for Locke, and this has been concerning to me because it's also costly. So I go to Costco every 2 weeks. Saturday morning, I get up, make myself a couple of eggs, and I hit the Costco before it opens, get in line, get through quick. And when I'm at the Costco, I always make sure I hit the liquor store, and I buy a 48 pack. By the time 2 weeks is up, that 48 pack is done. So I drink, those are just home beers. I do drink outside of home as well. So at home, I drink about 100 beer a month. Now, the problem is the last couple of months.
You just said it.
I know I have a problem.
I think
no, but hold on.
I think we're boiling it. Sorry, go ahead. Yep.
Okay, now the last couple of months, I've had to get bridge beer, which means I need to get me to that 2 week period, and quite often I got to stop and get a 15 pack on the Thursday because the 48 pack is done before my Saturday trip to Costco.
Yeah, bridge beers. Of course, I get it.
Dude,
Bridge beers.
This whole thing, like if you, instead of not giving a shit, if you just kind of gave a shit, you'd probably be happier.
I give too much of a shit.
No,
That's the problem.
About the wrong things, dude. You get like the one that you just told us right here. And God
You
bless
been
you, 'cause I
talking to my
love your
fucking
honesty.
wife again?
No,
but
I'm just trying to.
smart.
Yeah, I'm trying to insert some common sense into your desire to kill yourself with terrible food this month. Like it is beyond the pale. Once again, I love it because you're doing this out of pure anger and spite, which is like you're endeavoring to be pissed off for an entire fucking month. If you don't think I don't want cameras all around you for the next 30 days, you're crazy.
No. I'm not going to be pissed off. I'm not going to let these things bother me. That's the point of the month.
Okay.
Can I recommend you get a pad?
I don't think you fleshed out the idea enough.
Put nope on it like this. Locke, hear me out, okay? And just keep it with you wherever you go.
Yeah.
And you're at work and you're doing this. And hey, Locke, I got a problem with the...
Yeah, you'll be an ostrich in no time, Lachlan.
Your wife comes, hey, Locke, something's wrong with the blah, blah, blah. And you go...
Nope.
Just stick
Thank
it to
you,
your
Darren.
forehead.
I might adopt this.
Just stick it to your forehead and walk around in life.
By the way, if I don't get T-shirts up and running this year, I will have merch for the annual. Thank you, Darren. I will have merch for the annual I Don't Give a Shit August.
Yes, I love
That's
this.
probably the best thing I've heard so far.
I'm a big fan. You should start an Instagram account.
I don't see why you shouldn't. Yeah, of your
terrible
terrible
You can
month.
post those poop pictures that Dean.
This
No,
is
just
going to
don't
be
follow
a great
it. Just
month.
don't follow
I disagree
anybody.
with you, Dean. I think I'm going to learn a lot about myself.
You know what? You should do this, and you should
it's
go
for my
wholehearted.
mental health, everybody.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be great. Yeah, fill your
Just
body
gonna
with
work
whatever
wonders.
you want because you don't care.
Yeah, the
Your mind will
name
be
of the
perfect.
Instagram.
Yeah.
TED Talk, here we come.
Yeah, drink 50
100
beers a week.
beers.
Way to go.
100 beers.
So this is Lachlan. He put this on his Twitter feed.
That's so
I'm not going to give a shit, August.
He doesn't give a
Look at
shit
his
to the point that he
face.
doesn't even use a T-shirt that he made.
By the
He
way,
just, like,
I
splats it
just
on
his
the
post-
front.
I photoshopped that
No
I know
way.
you did.
That's a
Yeah,
shot.
with paint, by the way.
We can tell.
Lock-
MS Paint.
Look how fucking happy you are there, man.
I am ecstatic. I am so
Look
excited
how
about this.
incredibly happy you are.
I'm telling you right now, this is the best idea I've had in forever. I have had very little reaction like this to a post I put up.
That's
Everybody's
because
on
everybody
board.
wants to get to that point. Like that's all I care about is getting to a point in my life where negative things don't impact me negatively. So I do the work. What you're doing is just shutting off.
Yeah, you're hurting
That's
yourself.
how I've handled everything my entire life. So this fits into the
Give it a go. Give it a go.
This is just an extension of that.
this is how I handle family. This
Locke,
is how I
applaud
handle
you.
everything.
Our Blue Jays blogger, real quick, Mr. Nick Reed, ladies and gentlemen. Nick Reed. Ladies
Hey,
and
fellas,
gentlemen.
how's it going?
Good. Say hi to Darren Pfeiffer from the rock and roll band Goldfinger. I know it's impressive. James DiFiore, Lock and Cross, and myself. Now, Nick has been. He's a Habs fan, which is hilarious to me. And he
Gross,
bitched me out
disgusting.
when they totally bitched me out when they lost in the final. And I'm like, fuck. They were never going to win anyways. The luckiest run in history. This guy took it personally, and I loved it about him. Anyway, he's still writing Blue Jays stuff for us. And the Blue Jays are back. I don't know if you guys watched them sweep the Kansas City Royals. It was basically just a fisting down at the Rogers Center. But things are weird down there this year, right, Nick? Like totally weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's not completely like out of the ordinary, but there's certainly some things that you'd have to get used to if like you haven't been to a ball game in 2 years. There's certainly some things that make it more of a COVID atmosphere than it was before. But at the same time, It's still great to be out there.
Yeah, you went to the game. They opened it up to like 15,000 people. You went to the opening game on the 30th. I don't know, and I know you're going to a bunch of games this week. What were the protocols like at the game, Nick?
Well, it was 15,000, but they had no one up in the 500 level, so it was a bit more condensed in the 100 level and 200s, mostly behind home plate. And then down the lines for both sections, it was socially distanced sections that fans could opt to get tickets in those spots. But yeah, once you got in, obviously you had to be wearing a mask. And on Friday, they actually were giving away ones with the Jays logo, and it said home on it and the date just to commemorate it as a giveaway, which I love giveaways, so that was a nice little freebie there. And then once you got in, concessions were pretty standard. Just there were some ushers enforcing masks every now and then, but as the game wore on, there was less and less people wearing them.
So the 500 section was basically where you go if you want to smoke a joint.
Yeah.
I'd assume so, but it was just cardboard cutouts.
Bang your girlfriend or your
wife.
wife.
Yeah. There's some sex up there a few years ago for sure. Yeah. 500 level is where you go to kind of get away from like all the rules, right?
Were they having sex in the 500 section, or were they having sex in the hotel? Somebody got caught in it. Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
There was a second one?
Remember that?
I don't remember the second one.
There was the one girl that was pinned up against the Skydome Hotel, if you remember that.
I remember that one. Yeah.
I watched it 500 or 600 times, I would say, when I was like, just to make sure. I was like,
was it your ex? Because that's the only reason I could figure out why I would want to watch it.
Might have been.
Narrowing in on a kink.
Yeah. Narrowing. I just put a spotlight on it.
But Nick, like I had friends that went to the game, season ticket holders, and they were fucking furious after the game. Like furious, because as great as it was to see the Blue Jays back in town, I said, what were the mask requirements like? He's like, they cared for the first 2 innings, and then they stopped giving a shit. And I'm like, what about the unvaccinated section? He's like, there was no such thing. They didn't check. They didn't ask. They didn't care. And if you walked in there unvaccinated and you didn't want to be socially distanced, you could sit right next to someone that was double vaxxed. You could sit right next to someone who had immunocompromised syndrome. You could sit and that was a buddy of mine. His son's in a wheelchair. He's got immuno issues. And he's like, hey, can you ask these people to put their masks on? And to a man, every single person, every single usher he asked said, we're not doing that today. We're not interested. Does that sound familiar? Is that kind of like what you saw?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is once obviously to get to your seat you'd have to enter at a certain section, which say for the 200 level, if I had seats in the 200 level and I wanted to go down to the 100 level to watch batting practice, but you wouldn't be allowed to go into a section unless you had tickets specifically there. So once I got into my section up in the 200s, roughly behind home plate, third base, obviously the usher there would check your ticket and make sure you were wearing your mask. But once you got in and got to your seat, it was kind of the Wild West in terms of, I mean, you didn't really have to have it on. Most people, if they didn't have it on, they'd have it around their chins. And like if you're drinking or having a hot dog or something like that, it would be easy for you to flip it back up if necessary. But there were still some people that every now and then you'd see it just wouldn't have it on. They'd have it in their pocket or something like that. So yeah, it wasn't patrolled to the best, but I'm sure in the socially distanced sections, people are more conscious of that type of thing.
Nick, can I ask you the most important question you're going to get on this interview today?
Yep.
How many hot dogs and how many beer did you have?
So I ate before I went, so I didn't stuff my face there. I had a slice of pizza.
You didn't want to get a $45 hot dog? No?
Well, I knew I was going to be spending it on beer, so that's what it was.
Good answer.
So I just had a slice of pizza. Usually I go for there's one concession in left field that has this buffalo cauliflower poutine that I used to get every single time. Like it was my go-to. It didn't matter if I went to the Rogers Center 4 times a week. I was getting that always during batting practice.
Why?
Why is that? I don't know. It was something that was filling. It was fairly reasonable price for how much food there was, and I just got sick of the pizza and the hot dogs.
Dude, we haven't discussed this. Are you vegan?
No.
Okay, how many beer did you have? You didn't answer.
I had 2 or 3. So it was my friend's birthday, so that gave me a good excuse to go to the concessions with him and treat him to a beer, and then treat myself to a few.
Okay. So,
But
but
what you got to do, you got to sneak in with a flask and then plastic flask and then get a Coke and then just put it in there like that.
Not
Just
a horrible
drop
idea,
acid.
Darren.
Just drop
Not a
acid
horrible
the
idea.
second before you go. That's it. You just drop acid.
Horrible idea, James.
I mean, that might make my
It's the
content a little
best
better.
idea.
Well, if it's like a half a tab, maybe if you're not tripping that hard.
If you don't know how to handle your acid, everyone will start to look like Fergie Oliver, and you'll just be like, "Oh my god, where the fuck am I?"
Was it good to be back? I mean, I was like fucking emotional watching, and I knew what was going on. I knew my friends called it a super spreader. I knew it was a super spreader event, but I was like, part of me was kind of sitting there watching the game, going, "All right, they're back." Like this, and watching people cry and stuff. Like I got emotional. I didn't quite cry. Lachlan doesn't understand it because he doesn't give a shit about anything other than the Oilers and hockey.
No,
James,
I watch ball. I'm a big, not a huge fan, but I watch baseball. I cheer for the Jays.
Do you?
I like the game. I just don't get the 708 games in the regular season.
162.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Did Vlad eventually get on tape? Is he still taped up to the bench?
No, they taped him last night because he was too hot.
Yeah, he's batting second today, so I'm sure someone let him go.
Yeah.
Are they playing the Royals again today? Was this a 4-game series?
No.
They're playing the Cleveland, soon to be Cleveland Guardians. So this is the first game of a 4-game series right now.
Yeah. Have they changed their uniforms?
Indians, you would have offended me in my Indian name.
Yeah.
I should share
in here.
Yeah. This is a good team though, dude. Like I watched them absolutely fist the Royals yesterday, and the addition of Jose Barrios was like fucking lights out. I couldn't believe it when the trade news came across the wire. Joaquim Sario, they've remade their entire fucking bullpen. Like for a team that's like 6 games out, I think maybe 3.5 games out of the wild card and 6.5 games back of getting into the conversation about the division. But like they're for fucking real. Like this is a really, really good baseball team, Nick. Really good.
Yeah, for sure.
Nick, do we have the starting pitching though to get us into that wild card spot?
They do now.
I think so with Barrios. Like that's a huge addition that I think we're going to realize is really going to pay off for us, because we did have some injury issues. Like I know Ryu missed a couple starts. Mats was out with, about a month or so with COVID. And then you had guys that fill in at the end, like it's Stripling, which is a 5-5 starter that you don't really want at the best of times.
He's shit.
And then
I hate him. I hate Rod Stripling. I watched Rod Stripling like shit on a player in the middle of was it Espinal a couple of months ago, where he bad throw to first and he fucking lost his mind, and I'm like, get him the fuck out of here. I hope he gets relegated to the bullpen come playoff time if they make it.
Who's the big tall flamethrower kid that they've been bringing up this year that's kind of having an off season? What's his name?
Well, Nate Pearson. Yeah, he's a guy who he touched 104, I think, in the Arizona Fall League a couple years back, which like is just bananas. So obviously, a guy with that velocity, like you want to make sure that he's ready for the big leagues, and he's been up at times, but for whatever reason, whether it be injuries or just not sure if he's ready yet. He's been getting he hasn't been up.
Does he have control? He's got speed, velocity, but does he have control?
Oh,
yeah, that's the thing with these young guys is that's the thing with these young guys is that sometimes like they might have the velocity that like it's a big league velocity, obviously. But sometimes you have to refine the mechanics and get that consistency, because even if he throws that hard, he might be throwing a lot of balls. And then that's when the pitch counts get up, and then he's as a starting pitcher, like you want your guys to be going deep. So hopefully Pete Walker will be able to work with him. Walker's one of the best pitching coaches in the game. You've seen what he's done and turn around the careers of multiple pitchers. Like even some guys on this staff, like Robbie Ray, like he was the guy that walked so many batters back when he was with the Arizona Diamondbacks, and he's really turned it around. Although he did get himself in some trouble in the third inning here, and now the Indians are up 2-0.
You know, you look at the Blue Jays and you just got to feel sorry for them. I mean, yes, they're a good team. Dean's absolutely right. They got some great pitching, great hitting, good young studs, but they're in this division. And it's with the Rays and Yankees and the Sox. It's just like, oh my fucking God. If they were in the AL Central or anywhere else in the AL for that matter, they would be making a lot of noise. But they're stuck in this fucking division. It's
Depth
really
division, yeah. And a
That's
lot of
why-
those teams
that's why
have
it's
like
so awesome when they do start to poke their head through, right?
yeah, like a turtle.
Yeah.
wild. Or a butthole.
Yeah, that's
Touching
kind of what
cloth.
I was referring to. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, right.
No,
Turtle
I
head.
think they're going to be really good, dude. I really do, and I'm excited to see them hit the stretch. Like I'm sort of fucking shocked that they went out and got Barrios. Like that was because like you're still 5-6 games back, but they've got control for him for another year. This is going to be a really good run. Like and to watch a team like this actually want to spend money come trade deadline, like it's fucking really, really important for this team. And it showed that hey, listen, we believe we have the best offense in baseball, which they do. They got the best offensive player in baseball. They've got the best offense in baseball. They got 4 guys that could be at 30 home runs by the end of the season. Like they are fucking mashing the baseball. So we'll see what happens. I'm just excited to have meaningful baseball in this city again for the last fucking 5 years. It's been a gong show, and the fact that they're home is incredible too. I hope they fucking clean it up. I really do. Listen.
What do you?
I gotta let
I
you
need to clean it up.
Again.
Like, what do you need them to do, Dean?
Well,
Like-
I'd like them to put unvaccinated people in a fucking cage in like center field.
Yeah.
That's what I really want. If you want the truth, I want them to not allow unvaccinated people into the fucking stadium. Number one. Number two, if you are vaccinated, I would like you to go and sit literally in a fishbowl where we can all look at you and make fun of you for not giving a shit about the person that you're sitting next to at a fucking baseball game. That's what I want.
So
or your own life, or your own life for that matter.
Yeah, exactly.
In Alberta, they announced last week, and everybody's making fun of Alberta right now. But as of August 16th, they're nixing contact tracing. They're basically going, that's it, we're done.
So they're
You're
turning
on
into
your
Florida.
own. Yeah, you don't even have to. If you get COVID, they're still going to test. If you get COVID, you don't even have to isolate anymore. And I was like, what are they doing? Like, what's going on? And James P. White, who a lot of people do know that listen to our show, know who he is. He's the little person on the show. He pipes up and he says, I bet you, and they can't say this out loud. He said, I bet you they're at a point where they're like, listen, we've provided you all the tools you need to get through this. Vaccination's free. You've had lots of time. That's it, fuckers. You are on your own. And I think that's part of it. I honestly think, Dean, and I know, listen, the conversation we're going to have now is whether or not we owe anything to the unvaccinated. Like,
Right.
what do we owe these people? And should we be mad that they're actually holding us back if there is a fourth wave and they start shutting everything down? Like, that's the conversation we're going to have now. But I actually kind of appreciate Alberta's stance, not just because I think if I lived in Ontario, I might appreciate it. We're closing in on 70% or even higher of the single dose in Alberta. We've got a large percentage that are double vaxxed, and I think the government and the health agencies are going, our job's done. If you get sick now, it's your
Fuck you.
problem, man.
Yeah.
And I
Well-
don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing, Dean.
Not
That's
if you're
how you-
vaccinated. Not if
Yeah.
you're vaccinated. Not if you believe in science. Not if you understand it all. Hey, Nick, I just want to thank you. I know you got to run, but I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. We're going to have
I
you
got
Yeah,
back.
no worries,
one
guys.
more
Thanks for
question.
having me.
Thanks for
I got
doing
one
that.
more question.
Oh, sorry.
relax.
Sorry. You're back. Yeah, you didn't go anywhere. One more question for Nick.
Nick, really quick, sports question. I completely missed the Stanley Cup playoffs. How did the Habs do?
I mean, got further than
I
the
missed
Leafs
all the
did.
games. I missed all the games. I don't know what's going on. I'm in the dark.
Yeah, bummer. Sorry, Nick. You don't have to answer that. He was just being a dick, but we love him for it. Thanks for doing it.
Aren't you a Sabres fan, for fuck's sake?
Dude,
Like,
Yeah, he is. He's got nothing
It needed to happen, though. Thank you, Darren.
I'm not bragging. I'm making fun. Two different things.
Well, listen. How are they dealing with the resurgence in Cali, Darren? That's where Darren is. He's in California.
People are
And
really upset, Dean.
no
People are
shit.
really upset here. There's a lot of unvaccinated people here in California, and they're mixing with the vaccinated people. And now there's a restaurant. CNN's Chris Cuomo did an interview with
I
this
saw that
mafia-looking guy, at a restaurant in Huntington Beach. You see, he was like this.
Yeah. Yeah, he's all smug.
He did an interview saying that he's only going to serve people at his restaurant in Huntington Beach, beautiful Huntington Beach, California, that can show proof of being unvaccinated.
Yeah.
He won't let anybody in the restaurant. So
that's like showing proof that unicorns exist.
He's being a cock.
Or that they don't
being a cock. And Chris Cuomo undressed him, just called him an idiot. Like, you're being an idiot. You sound like an idiot. And so it's a big problem in California. And I think it's a big problem all over the U.S. and Canada and the world, quite frankly, because Alberta's doing well, like, as far as the numbers. It seems like you see 70%. California is at 47% fully vaxxed, so half the state is fully vaxxed. But that means there's a lot of people, millions and millions of people in California that are unvaxxed and helping this Delta variant spread at sporting events, at restaurants, and at bars. And the mask mandates are slowly coming in. The Comedy Store, the famous Comedy Store on the Sunset Strip, said, we are not doing comedy shows. We're not letting people in unless they're vaccinated. And of course, the comments are mixed. Right on, good for you. Or I will never go to your stupid comedy club again.
Yeah.
Some comics are like, I can't wait to do a show a night there. I'm vaccinated. Other comics, I'll never set foot in the comedy club again. But restaurants are slowly moving towards this. And I just can't believe that people are getting upset about wearing a mask again. Do I like it? No. Am I going to be part of the solution? Yes. And I think it really comes down to, are you intelligent or are you not intelligent?
It's not that at all. No, it's not that.
It is absolutely that, James.
But it isn't. But that type of language, though, will be cited as part of the ingredients that lead to like some sort of eventual civil unrest, because we have managed to take polarization and inject it with steroids, and the left is all like, not my fault. All I'm doing is mocking people relentlessly that don't agree with me and expecting the results to turn out the way I want them, which is completely illogical. I was talking to a bunch of people the other day about how even if you feel that way, I feel that the relentless, and by the way, I'm not defending the behavior of anti-vaxxers, especially that fringe of the anti-vaxxers at all when I say this, just in case we think that. But the relentless mocking of the intelligence of people that are either unvaccinated or don't want the vaccine passport, and the way that it's just if you put any other pronoun or noun in that sentence, most people are uttering these sentences now where if you put that person in that place, it could be considered hate speech almost. Like we have to calm down a little bit and stop thinking that we're doing anything to solve this problem or making the numbers better by bullying people, basically, by telling them how stupid and useless and worthless they are and that they shouldn't be allowed to move freely, even though they didn't break a law. It's not logical.
James, let me interject. There's one difference. There's a difference between saying to somebody from a political point of view, like you have a policy that you agree with, I have a policy that I agree with, we both disagree on these policies, political. But this is health, and real people are dying. Real people are dying. There is hospitals and stories all over California and the U.S. for that matter of doctors that are treating people on ventilators near death or dying, and their family go, wow, Uncle Bob should have got the vaccine, right, doctor? Or are people dying on a ventilator saying, doctor, I didn't get vaccinated. Can I get vaccinated? And the doctor goes, I'm going to do everything I can to make you comfortable and help you survive. But that ship has sailed, sir. I'm really sorry. It's happening in wide numbers. 98.7% of people in California that got the Delta variant are unvaccinated. That's all the proof you need. This isn't about a political thing. You're left, you're right. This is death and life. And if you don't get the vaccination, I think you're kind of dumb. I really do.
Yeah, okay, but I guess my question is that if you care about people, so you obviously care about the numbers being better and less people dying. I'm just wondering if you think that the things that you say just now, do you think that contributes to the ether of positive developments, or do you think?
No, I don't think you should mistake any of us for caring. I mean, especially, and that's not even my August thing. Yeah. And whether or not I say something negative about those people or I'm done with the whole conversation or I'm applauding Alberta for going, you're on your own, that has nothing to do with care. It doesn't work, or it has nothing to do with what I think might actually help the situation. our public officials can't figure out how to get these people vaccinated. The guy wearing the Bacardi shirt that he got at a ball tournament 25 years ago isn't going to figure it out either.
But I don't think you can just dismiss them as being dumb because of the abhorrence.
Yeah, you can.
No, you can't because of the abhorrence.
Okay.
Well, do you want to hear my reason, or you want to hear my reason? I have a reason. I have an explanation. I have an explanation as to why. It's not about dumbness. It's really not, because if you take the news that has come out in the last 6 months, even just about vaccinations, it is a legit position to be either hesitant or concerned, or I have no fucking idea what to think. Those are all legit positions. And you're trying to tell me that those positions are actually dumb. And I don't think they are. I think there is a fringe I think there is a fringe within that position that is dumb, right? The Chris Skies of the world that conflate everything with the conspiracy theories. Sure, that's the dumb side. But then there are people that are just like, well, 1 second, this is the news on AstraZeneca. The second, this is the news on Pfizer. Then it's Johnson & Johnson. Then it's not true. Then it's true again. It is a legit position to not have the vaccine yet. And I don't understand why we have to conflate everybody into the dumb pile if they haven't been vaccinated.
That's what we do. That's what humans do.
It's okay. It's okay to be trepidatious. It's okay to be concerned. It's not FDA approved. I'm not sure what's in it. And these people that, this is hilarious. The same people that go, I don't know what's in it. I'm not going to take it. Eat 3 hot dogs.
Yeah, the meme. I know. We've all seen the meme. Yeah. But in
reality, hold on. I have one better, Darren. I have one better. The problem I have with it, and this is where I started to lose because I was at the beginning of this that was going, listen, don't judge or shame anybody, regardless. Just go believe what you need to believe in, do. And now I'm at the, listen, you are all on your own. I've given up completely. I've lost all my give a fucks about people who aren't.
I believe they call that goodwill. Yeah, your goodwill is gone.
I've lost it all. And the problem I have, James, is that the people, and you can't deny this, the people that were pissed off that we were shutting everything down, that this was doing what it was to their business or their lives or their families, and it was jeopardizing, they were the ones that were complaining are still bitching about the vaccine now. They just switched. We got this thing that wored.
I was complaining. Dean was complaining about those businesses being shut down. You were complaining about those businesses being shut down because you didn't think it made sense that Costco could be open, but all these mom and pop shops should.
But the loudest ones were the ones that were making the most noise at the beginning of this whole thing are now the loudest, and they're unvaccinated. And that's where I'm at. I'm like, I realized that group there just moved from, what the fuck, we're shutting down, fucking Trudeau's a fucking tool, to fucking, what do you mean? Fucking, I got to get fucking vaccinated? You mean we're opening shit up again? Fuck off.
They never wanted to get vaccinated anyway. I think, and I think it lends itself to
that's my problem.
Yeah, it lends itself to that bigger conversation. I had a conversation with a dude the other day whose dad and grandfather were virulent racists. Virulent. Like, told them that black people came here to take over, Chinese people came here to take over. He would sit there with his grandfather on his lap as a child, and he would tell him these darn awful racist stories about what white people were entitled to and what everybody else wasn't. So about 10 years ago, he got to the point in his life where he's like, this isn't fucking making any sense. I'm pretty sure my grandparents are fucking racist. And I'm pretty sure my dad's racist. But it would have created a crisis for him, a personal crisis, to actually sit there and go, you guys I can't identify with, and you're my blood, and I don't know what fucking end is up anymore. So enter the same conversation and insert COVID. So there are a lot of people out there who have, from Jump Street at the start of this thing, questioned everything, questioned lockdowns. And if you sit and talk to those people for any length of time and have a meaningful conversation, the truth will come out from most of these people. Yes, are there people, if we critically think through this, critically think through the fact that there are people who have legitimate concerns and health issues to wrap into understanding whether or not they should get the vaccine. I get that. We're not talking about those people, James. What we're talking about are the people who have made up their mind at the start of this that they were not going to be part of the solution because their personal freedom mattered way more than the greater good. And that's who we're talking about. You can't tell Lachlan that we need to be nice to them because I'm tired of being nice to those cocksuckers.
Now that you're actually specifying that you really are talking about the far fringy conspiratorial anti-vaxxers.
But that number is
I am
big,
sort of with
James.
you. I don't know, but I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people that are. I know a lot of, but there's a lot of people that are vaccinated. They have their, and I'm not talking about COVID. I'm talking about everything else. They have every single vaccination, and the communication surrounding the COVID vaccines are enough for them to be like, I'm going to hold out. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that position.
Do you know where that comes from?
I don't think
it comes from shitty
issue?
communication.
Let me kind of break that down if I can. Is I believe where that comes from are people that are really trying very hard to assert the narrative that they shouldn't get vaccinated because they believe something that other people don't. Again, back that up.
But you could watch Dr. Tam. You could watch all the Western leaders only. Just the Western leaders and Dr. Fauci.
I don't give a shit about. I don't give
a fuck about what any
of those people.
But you could watch only them and nothing else, and still come out. I don't know if I should get vaccinated.
Totally.
You know why?
Totally. And I get that. So I had to go and do the work myself where I was like, okay, I need to understand this. And again, let me bring another analogy in so that you understand it. The Civil War.
I understand where you're coming from.
Okay. And let me make the statement for people listening. The Civil War.
I still don't understand his analogy, so I'm hoping he finishes.
The Civil War was started by very few people. Very few. It wasn't started by tens of millions of virulent Southern racists. It was started by a couple thousand virulent racists that spoke for everybody else, right? When it comes to even the fucking human rights movement, it wasn't millions of disenfranchised black people that took the streets. It was a small handful of people that sacrificed for they made the most noise. And when you look at where we are, the reason why we're angry is because we're catering to that very small denomination. Go back to the Blue Jays game. We're catering to those people by not giving everybody a safe environment to actually enjoy a fucking baseball game. When it comes to these numbers and the Delta variant, like Darren's talking about, we have catered to assholes, liars, idiots, fucking losers for the past year and a half. And
why does that usher?
We're fucking tired of it.
The thing that bothers me the most, guys, really quick, the thing that bothers me the most, and the reason why I call these people stupid and dumb and ignorant, I get it. You have concerns. Okay, fine. Have concerns. But are you really going to roll the dice with your fucking life or your kid's life or your parents' or grandparents' life? Real people are going, fuck this. I'm not getting a vaccine. I'm fine. I had it before, so I got the antibodies, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what's in it, blah, blah, blah. Bam. You get COVID, you're on a ventilator, and you die. Your parents die. Your uncle dies. Your aunt dies, whatever. It's life or death. Now, politics isn't life or death. Life or death is life or death. So if you want to roll the dice with your life, that is fucking stupid.
But they have a perspective that was taught to them by the media and their own government where they don't know that it is a life or death thing because they
my God, that's not true at all.
Because they have contradictory information coming at them all the time from people that we're supposed to trust. So what you're saying to them is, either you can only believe Fauci here, but don't believe him here, or you can only believe the CDC here, but don't believe. Hold on,
it's not about Fauci at all. Fauci didn't develop the vaccine. Fauci didn't develop the science around the vaccine. That's been going on for 8 years.
So, anyways, what I was actually saying,
James, aren't we
guys,
supposed
you guys
to
are,
have
like? I can't get to my point, guys. Like, I'm trying to get to my point.
We already know your point. And listen, I think here's the other thing.
It's not about Fauci's research for 8 years. I have no fucking idea what you're talking about.
It's about misinformation, and you want to justify the misinformation and people's decisions revolving around the fact that maybe there's a lot of conflicting information out there, and then maybe there's a deeper issue. I get it. I understand that. We all understand that we're in a situation in the world that we live in now.
Dumb.
It doesn't listen. And again, the vague generalizations is where we're getting into trouble. I think Jamesy, what he's saying, and I agree with him. I mean, there's legitimately people with health concerns that are worried, right? And they're, I don't know if I should put this in myself. I get that part of it, but it doesn't matter at this point. Like, the house is on fucking fire. And if the house is on fire and 90% of misinformation comes from 12 fucking idiots, as we all know, and from people who just don't want you to get vaccinated because they think you're going to hell if you do, that's stupidity to me. Ignorance is stupidity. That's stupidity. And I want to make fun of those people. I want to make their lives miserable because they've made our lives miserable by the small fucking morsel of assholes that are controlling 90% of society right now.
Yes,
and we can't go anywhere, even though we've done the work, even though we've been vaccinated. I get that there are people that have a problem with it. That's a separate conversation. I'm talking about the people that are willingly making it impossible for us to get back to any kind of semblance of normalcy, and people who just want to fucking fight. Karima this weekend, she's down fucking walking around this big protest. And these counter protesters, these fucking asshole anti-vaxxers sat in an outdoor patio heckling and mocking people, calling them fascists for eating inside the restaurant. So outside on the patio, there they are screaming at people. Those are the people that I'm talking about.
Okay. Well,
people
then,
that
specifying like that, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Here's the other problem. So if we've got 10% of the population, right, that doesn't get vaccinated, that's pushing back against the authority, that has a problem, regardless of what the stance is, right? Now, if we are to get back to let's take the Jays game, for example, okay? We have a chance to go see baseball, okay? We're going to do what we can to open up the doors. The government allows us 5,000 people. We are going to social distance. We're going to make people wear masks, or at least we're going to say that at the beginning. Boom, here we go. We got a game, okay? Now people start taking off their masks. The ushers aren't allowed to say anything, even if somebody has a concern.
Everyone's getting drunk. Everyone's getting shittered, which is great, but there's a fucking pandemic and you spit more when you get drunk. Go ahead. Sorry, Lon.
Okay, so whatever. I mean, there's all these things that are happening, but why is that usher not allowed to go into that section and say, and I'm not saying I agree with him doing it or not doing it. I'm saying he doesn't go into that section because they were sat down and told you can't force anybody to wear a mask if they take their mask. So now we're placating to that 10%, if that's the number, that are unvaccinated, and they're winning.
Oh, that's where we
are.
They
shouldn't be fucking winning. That's the problem I have with it, and that's why I'm angry at that group.
You should be, and we should be.
Why can't we have fucking vaccine passports and allow businesses to, on their own, decide whether or not they let these fuckers in or not? No, we're placating to the 10%. We are fucking letting them win. Those assholes are winning, and I'm sick and tired of it.
What did they say
at the front end of the fucking pandemic about locking everything down, and we should have been out there making everybody sick and dying. Now we're placating to them because they refused to get the fucking vaccine.
Locke, and not like I said earlier. This isn't a political issue. This is life or death. You live.
You keep on saying that's a good tagline,
but it's the facts. These people are dying in California.
We don't know. You guys are. I think you guys, what you guys are doing, are playing the odds, because all four of us, none of us can say for certainty anything that we've done for precautions, or that we've done that was sloppy, that definitely resulted in this or definitely resulted in that. We're just sort of shrugging and saying, well, I'm going to go with this side because it's the better side.
I know that vaccines work, dude. Like that.
No, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. I'm talking about lockdowns, right? Like, so there's all these states. It's not like there's no pattern. I'm telling you, there's no pattern. There's places where like the vaccination rate is high, but so are the new infections. And there's places.
And you're saying, if I'm to understand what you're saying, and I kind of agree with you here, is that, you know, with all of the misinformation and the things that everybody, like what you're saying is, do we have to come down hard on everybody who's not vaccinated? And the same people, like, we're asking for one general rule because we're all vaccinated, but we're vaccinated and it works, and we know it works because it works. Like 98.5
the things we were questioning at the beginning, James, were some of the we did it too, the inconsistencies. I think now we can safely say, and maybe we're all wrong, but we can safely say that because of the numbers of the spread of COVID right now within the unvaccinated population, that the vaccine actually works now.
So, but numbers are going up in Alberta, even though the vaccinations are going up. So, I mean, I don't know how.
Here's the thing: is that if we really want to get down to it, Alberta has the lowest first and second dose vaccination rate in all of Canada. You're not at 70%; you're at 64%. for one dose. You're at something like 25 or 28.
I thought it was higher than that, but
they were at nothing during the third wave peak, and they're at that same level now with 64% vaccinated. So hold
it.
But we're also not taking
98.5% of those people are unvaccinated, James. Like, that's what people don't want to talk about is who's getting this. Well, I'll tell you who's getting it. 98.5% are unvaccinated, disease of the unvaccinated. And then people go, yeah, but people, if you get vaccinated, 1.5% still get it. 1.5. Yeah. Like, how much math do you need for you to go, I get, not you, but in general, I mean, people in general, you're vaccinated. I'm not coming down on you. I know what you're doing is you're trying to ask legitimate questions and say, hey, listen, are we going to be progressive? Or are we going to be dicks about the whole
I'm
thing?
afraid of the vaccine passport. I'm afraid that some other government down the road is going to use the precedent set by the vaccine passport and limit our movement.
So you're going to prevent that from you getting healthy?
All I'm saying, like, I'm not even looking at it.
Not dying.
I'm not even looking at it like that. I'm looking at what. So there was the easiest example, and this is going to seem really stupid and weird that this is the easiest example, but when Obama authorized the United States under the National Defense Authorization Act to assassinate American suspected terrorists without due process, all of these lefties and really like good people were saying things that were so true, such as, what if Sarah Palin's president one day and she has that power? All I'm saying is that if we say, okay, government, you will be able to discriminate against people even though those people haven't broken the law. I don't care what it's about, vaccines or anything else. That, to me, is the principle that we should be looking at, because I don't understand how it's constitutional. I don't understand how we can do this.
Oh, it's not. I don't think it is. I also think
that's why I don't think. But I think the whole thing is moot then, because I don't think they're going to be here for that long if they
keep the emergency measures in place for governments. I think they could jam it through. I could be wrong. Maybe we need somebody smarter than me. But I hope before they pull back on the emergency sort of status of the federal government, that Trudeau, this is one thing I would actually applaud him for doing. I hope he steps up and goes, you know what, fuckers? Here's a vaccine passport. Now, the public sector needs to use this as you would like to use this. If you want to let people into your restaurant without it, that's up to you. If you want to let them go see a show,
I don't even think Trudeau's allowed to do that. I don't even think he can.
Is he?
Yeah, he is.
I've heard he is.
Healthcare is a provincial thing, right?
I've heard he is. On some level, he could actually enforce
sort of like the notwithstanding clause type thing, like that kind of thing. Like it just an override.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not
federal decree from.
Here's one thing that I want to make to a previous point that you made. Like Alberta has had its up and downs in COVID, like Ontario has, like every other province has, and we've seen numbers go up, we've seen them go down, we've had success in certain areas, and blah blah blah, back and forth. The one thing that I do, I think that our government, our provincial government, does deserve credit for. I think we did a decent job on contact tracing, and I think that might have helped us in that third wave maintain things, because they were very effective in, when the testing was done, getting a hold of people and trying to figure out where they may have caught it and maybe trying to stop it from that perspective. So we might not have had the vaccination numbers. We might have got up to, we might not have got up to speed as quickly as some of the other provinces with getting vaccines in people, but I think we were doing a pretty decent job on that front. So there's so many levels of how whatever government, whatever civic and provincial and federal, there's so many levels of it that's had an impact on it that I think it's going to be impossible, James, to one day sit there and go, all right, should we have done this here, or did this work? We always talk in these, like, we want to boil things down to this works. That's how we want to make it easy. We want to make it easy, and it's not easy, and it's extremely complicated. That's why when something like the vaccine works, James, and it is showing that it's having an impact, and we could get back to normal if everybody just vaccinated, I think it's okay, and it justifies anger for the people that aren't getting vaccinated. That's my take on it.
It's a good take.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah,
Drez says, Drez Laird, no idea who this is. I'm listening to a guy sucking on a vape pen explaining being healthy to me. The media lives in a bubble.
Yeah, I saw that. Well, you know what? You're sucking on a vape pen, and I'm smelling Sharpies.
Well, see, now we can suck on
see what
vape
I'm
pens
doing below the table.
And I ate an entire Kubasol last night.
This is really good. It's like grape flavor.
Yeah. You know what I've done is I looked into what I was putting in my body. Therefore, I'm okay with vaping, unlike some of you dumb fucks out there, like Drez Laird, who's like, this is the other thing Drez said. And I laughed when I saw it. Many essential workers are not actively seeking vaccinations. The entire notion of people respecting these workers is laughable. Yeah, I don't respect a healthcare worker that doesn't put their health first.
How do you not?
I don't.
If you're a nurse, how are you an anti-vaxxer? I don't get that.
Well, you know what? For years, for decades, guys, doctors and nurses go outside and have a smoke break.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
So do yoga instructors.
I know.
Like every yoga instructor in the world smokes cigarettes.
Do you know how many people I know that do yoga that smoke? It's crazy. Like, yes, it's insane. I mean, there's so many. A
lot of those yoga people are like, there's this new movement called conspirituality. A lot of the yoga people are like anti-vax too.
They are. Yes.
They buy floor pillows and Buddha statues, though. So.
You know, guys, all serious. I was talking to my wife last night about this because we watched CNN, we watched the news, and we watch a lot of different news outlets. And the stories are coming out fast and furious of these unvaccinated people in America, mostly Louisiana, Texas, and
Mississippi,
and Florida, which is a shit show. That Florida is a shit show, but that's another kettle of fish. And these people are getting sick, and they're putting on ventilators, getting close to death and/or dying. And it's not only affecting the patient that's in the hospital by close to death or dying, it's affecting their family, their friends, their workplace. And I'm hoping that enough of this happens with the unvaccinated, where we actually are in America seeing vaccination numbers go up. It dipped down really low, like 400,000 a day. Now it's back up to 750, almost 800,000 a day and rising. So that mixed with Fox News, Sean Hannity coming out and saying, okay, fine, you should get the vaccine. Mitch McConnell did radio ads all through Kentucky for the last 3 weeks, urging people in Kentucky to get the vaccine. So my point is this: we're starting to see the people for a year we're like, vaccines this and COVID that, bullshit, la 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 la, are now starting to change their tune. And people dying, and those families and friends and coworkers are going to go, hey, Bob died. Maybe I should get the vaccine because I guess it's kind of serious. 4.2 people, 4.2 million people in the world are dead.
Dumb is winning.
That's a big number.
Yeah.
Dumb is winning, Darren.
4.2 million people dead. That's
in 1 year.
That's a lot of fucking people around the globe.
26,000 Canadians dead in 1 year. The biggest number of
613.
Yeah, but how many of them
the
would
biggest
have died
number of
anyway?
Exactly. How many were fat?
How many of them
in
had
America,
syphilis?
about 480,000 of them were.
Actually, I have heard that through the grapevine.
You're probably not that far off, James.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, and you can't do this, but I've heard like there have been some accounts where they were saying obesity was like the number one. Like if you were fat and you got COVID, you're were
dead.
in real trouble, man. And down in the States, it tore through some of the fat states. Yeah, like New York, it ravaged.
New York's a fat state.
Yeah,
I think it is, isn't it? Wasn't New York a home
Houston? I believe Houston, Alabama, and Arkansas are the fattest states in the United States. Yeah, because I watched the thing on it, and indeed, obesity is a huge marker for people that died. Like, but so is diabetes. So is cystic fibrosis. Like, I mean, if you had any pre-existing conditions,
you're in trouble.
And this is what I don't understand from those
asthma
people.
Was fucking people up too.
Oh yeah,
with COVID.
But this is what I don't understand from those people too is that they don't want the vaccine, which is fine.
James.
Which is fine. You don't have to have the vaccine. Where I get angry is when they start telling us that nobody should have the vaccine, right?
Yeah.
And then where they get angry is when we tell them everybody should be vaccinated because the science indicates that it's a fucking great idea. And that doesn't matter to them, right? And so when it kind of circling back and trying to put a bow on this a little bit today, I'm well within my right to not just mock these people. I'm well within my right to not even want to be around them at a Blue Jays game. Until they've got a vaccinated section, fully vax section at the Blue, I won't be going. And I'm dying to go to the game. Until I know a restaurant, and I will go to a restaurant, if that restaurant demands that they see my vaccine certificate, I'll go. I'll go because
I don't think I will.
That's fine. You don't have to, but that's a personal thing. This is a health crisis, for fuck's sakes. This isn't about free speech. This isn't about whether or not you like the color green and I like the color red. This is a war between a minuscule group of fucking asshole terrorists that want to make your life just as miserable as theirs right now. That's what they're doing, and I can't see it any other way. And so
I think I'm just
that's
looking
how I'll act.
at a long game scenario where it's like, I know it seems like a gargantuan task to like change hearts and minds, but really at the end of the day, I think that's where we're going. We are going to have a very strange society if there continues to be millions of people that aren't allowed to do anything. That is eventually going to end in a bad place. I wish that the science was more clear, because then I wouldn't even have to think of these things. But the science isn't that clear. The science is clear on certain things. COVID is horrible for old people and sick people, mostly.
Put that up. Dean Wade's comment.
Fat.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. It's Canada. The only place on the yeah, it's the
so
minority
true.
rules. Yeah, it's true.
Oh, so true.
That's why we're here. Like yeah. I get what you're saying. And then this one from Drez again. I don't know who this cat is, but I love him because he's an idiot, or she. Doesn't matter. Vaccinations work. Why not go and live your life then? And then follows up with this beauty that just came in. If you're vaccinated and trust the science, you should have no fear of a baseball game. Go fuck yourself, because it's not the baseball game I fear, you dumb stuffer. What I fear is something called a Delta variant. It's called a variant of concern that everybody who's been vaccinated can get, because the science has evolved faster than the vaccines. That's what I fear. And I think everybody should fear it.
I fear us moving to 6 or 7 on the list in Canada because you're insulting our fans.
I'm okay with it.
We were 5, but now we're like 6.
You got to get away from my OCD number.
I don't want them. Yeah, we need to get to number 4. Just so you don't have a fucking.
Let's tell Drez that his opinion matters.
There you go, Drez.
Hey, Drez,
a nice response.
I like you, Drez.
Yeah, your opinion matters. Only to other total morons.
You think you're a moron and you should go fuck yourself, but I like you.
I remember I had a chuckle one day a couple of months back. This guy, I'm in the bank and I'm standing in line to go get cash. And I got my mask and I'm separated outside. They got the 6-foot like duct tape on the thing. And a guy parks right in front in the handicap spot. And he's, I'd say 60, 58, 59, 60. And he is, he's a big man. He's obese. And he gets out of his truck and he's got a cane and no mask. And this is still when everybody was masked. And he walks up to the front of the bank to go into the bank. He cuts through the line and he's fighting with the guy who gets paid, what, $10 an hour, $12 an hour? What's minimum wage? He's yelling at the guy because he won't let him in without a mask. And I'm like, dude, you're 60. You probably have diabetes.
Yeah.
There's a reason why you're limping.
You're a sick fuck.
He's got a goiter underneath that.
Why are you mad about the mask?
Cheetos, mac and cheese. You probably only eat that and kielbasa.
I already have to wear this goiter on my neck.
Dude, he's not mad that he's basically fucking immobile because of how fat he is. He's mad that he's got to put a mask on.
Put a mask
Who's that
on.
guy? There's a guy running for mayor in New York. It's a black dude. I can't remember his name. I'm sorry, because I haven't been following that mayoral election. But he's like, he was going blind. He had like diabetes. And he changed his diet and his like eyesight came back. And he was just a guy talking. He wasn't saying anything like you shouldn't get vaccinated or nothing, but he was just talking about how like the amount of shit. This is sort of your point that you were going to make earlier, Darren, which is that the amount of shit that people put in their bodies and not connect that to their terrible health. It's pretty amazing. Like, you know, like, Lachlan, at least you're a step ahead of the game. At least you know that you're putting filthy, nasty garbage into your system almost on a daily basis.
Well, he's self-aware. That's the difference between Lachlan and everybody else is that he's self-aware. Like he knows, like, oh, this is me. And
I do slip, and I have a drinking problem. We've established that, but I do slip occasionally. Outside of that, I do eat pretty decent. I actually do. Okay. Yeah, we have good food, but I am that guy that got my wife to bring home a bucket of Nanaimo bars, and I may have eaten them all. I have impulse control.
Tasty dessert.
Oh, Nanaimo bars are awesome.
It's like getting a brick of fudge.
I had them for breakfast. I'm telling you, it's my I don't give a shit August.
So you had Cheeto mac and cheese for dinner, 2 pounds of kielbasa, and for breakfast you had a bucket of Nanaimo bars
and 6 beer last night.
Oh yeah, dude, you're gonna be dead by the 15th.
Nanaimo bars are
like my blood pressure is going up.
Nanaimo bars are like people from Nanaimo.
Can I give a silver lining here? If Lachlan is dead by the end of the month, then that'll make our show go to 4 or 3 for sure.
Absolutely.
You know what?
Just for a week.
Those record sales go through the roof.
Just for a week.
Soundgarden, everything went through the roof when those guys died. If Locke dies, we're at number 3 for sure.
If I die, you guys need to milk the shit out of it. Okay, I would have nothing. I want nothing less from any of you.
You guys
can we bronze your balls and just hang them in our office?
Oh, yes. I want one.
I'm gonna caster my balls today just in case.
You guys missed what Lachlan said earlier when I asked him about his dinner and his breakfast of Nanaimo bars, kielbasa, and mac and cheese. He said, "Actually, I feel like my blood sugar's a little high today. My blood pressure is up. My back of my neck hurts."
Yeah.
Also, I smell burnt toast.
You're having a stroke, dude.
That's Lachlan's mixing board at the radio station. Yeah, that's on fire.
Doctor, I smell mixing boards.
Well, I think we've done some great work today. We've uncovered some terrible spending by an NHL player. We've talked a lot about the COVID. We've talked Blue Jays baseball. We've asked
with somebody who will never come back.
Oh, dude, he works with us. He has to come back. He's gonna that was the first one. I'm like, you got to come back. He's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah.
At first, it seemed like he was like this. Hi.
Yeah. Well, dude, you got 4 guys that know each other. He's new, right? You've been in a new situation before. He's a good kid. He's a really good kid. But
I'm sure he's fine. I'm just going to bust his balls a bit. That's all.
He sends a lot of emails. A lot of emails.
Hey, you know what, Dean? Well, I got good news. Our good friend Drez just said that he was highly entertained, end quote. So
thank you, Drez. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah. Like you, Drez.
I think we're good.
I like you now. Yeah. Even though I think you're an idiot for not getting
I don't like him.
Hey, Drez, I've always liked you, you dumb fuck. I've always loved you.
I hope you never watch the show again, Drez.
Yeah.
That's right.
That is Darren Pfeiffer from the rock and roll band Goldfinger. His podcast is called The Dangerous Darren Show. It's on Adobe Radio. You can also get it anywhere you get podcasts, including DeanBlundell.com. He is a weapon. That is Lachlan Cross. He doesn't give a shit for the rest of August. Follow his progress on his website called DeanBlundell.com. Yeah, or don't, because he doesn't care. Does not care. He doesn't care. Or at Lachlan Cross on Twitter.
Isn't it? I hope it
a little bit.
I am going to try to not care. I'm doing my best, everybody. I need your support.
And the guy underneath me, James DiFiore, Blackballed is the name of his podcast. He's got an interesting one coming up, and I'm really excited. You know how he's been super, super jacked up to talk to people about the whole trans issue, and we keep going, we're not talking about it today, James. And he's like, please, I want to talk about J.K. Rowling. And we're like, no.
Did you get J.K. Rowling on the pod?
Close.
No,
he
but
is
she'll
setting
probably
up,
watch it, though, and that's for real. Yeah.
Dude, he is setting up a summit, and I'm excited for it, James. What is it? Tell us.
So I got the UK's #1 LGBT activist, and we're talking about 4 decades as being the most recognizable face of that movement. And the person most known in the UK for being sort of like a transgender ideology critic, Dr. Kathleen Stock. The first gentleman is Peter Tatchell, who there's a Netflix movie on him right now called I Hate Peter Tatchell. It's a documentary. And they're going to have a, hopefully, civil, productive discussion, even though they are completely diametrically opposed on this issue. And the issue basically is about self-ID. Should you be able to just declare yourself a different gender, and the ancillary issues that come with that, like ladies' prisons and things like that. And they are just completely on the opposite sides. And we're going to try to prove that this topic can be talked about without bullets flying, basically. So
yeah, that won't.
be fun.
That's brilliant, James. Brilliant.
Awesome. Really
Thanks,
excited for that. Yeah, very excited. So Blackballed is the podcast. What you need to do is go and download and subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. Blackballed with James D. Fiore. If you would like that podcast, I would. I'm excited to watch it. I appreciate you being here. Thanks, dude.
Thank you, man. Thank you, guys. Good to see
Thanks
you guys.
to Lachlan. Thanks to Darren. Thanks to everybody for being here. Really appreciate everyone's help in being a part of this. And we'll be back tomorrow. I don't know, 3:00. Sound good? I was just told that this was a holiday. I just got a note. Someone's like, today's a civic holiday in Canada. That's how you know you work. That's how you know. It's because civic holidays don't matter. It's the grind. You get up, you do it again and again and again. And it doesn't matter. Civic holidays are for pussies. We work all the time. Content doesn't stop. Evander Kane's bankruptcy isn't just going to stop. Megan Rapinoe isn't just going to stop being a wiener. We work. Sunday scaries. I don't have them. You know why I don't have Sunday scaries? Because I'm always working. It's probably not healthy either. I don't care. I love it. Thanks for being a part of the podcast. You can download everything we do wherever you get your fine podcasts. Go to deanblundell.com. Sign up for a newsletter there. Thanks to our friends over at Ed's Fine Imports. He sells Gitch. See this Gitch? He sells it. It's his own branded underwear. All day, every day, kids. Engineered for any level of performance as well as everyday life. Moisture-wicking fabric, great waistband, developed for performance, durable, resistant to piling, resistant to shrinkage. Got a fly hole. They've also got a pouch for your junk. Get Ed's Gitch. Order a pair for free today with promo code GITCH, then the number 3 at edsfineimports.com. Hi to our friends over at Easy Auto Financial as well, making this podcast possible. We appreciate that. These are good people that want to get you in a car. Super simple to do. All you go to is easyautofinancial.ca. Again, easyautofinancial.ca. No obligation. Doesn't cost you a dime. If you've got credit issues, they love you. That's their wheelhouse. Knock it out of the park. Get you a car. Get you financing free of charge. Sending you to actually the dealer with the car that you've picked with that financing for you too. They're good people. They do that stuff for you. Call them now. Get on the old interweb machine. Go to easyautofinancial.ca. Our friends at Domination as well. Special thank you and a hello to our guys at Domination, domination.com, dmntn.com. It's AI for people that produce content. It's super easy to do. One file, 72 pieces of content in under 5 minutes. You got to try it if you produce content or if maybe you're just a gamer, blogger, podcaster, whatever. It's industry stuff and it's defining. So give it a shot, dmntn.com. Have a great day, everybody. Sign up for a newsletter at deanblundell.com. That is it for me, I think. I'm out. Yeah. Bye.